And again, it's a
Yeah.
backup quarterback, so it's not what can you really expect, right?
Right. No, I get that. I just, man, between the offensive line, the quarterbacks, we know that these guys are talented. We know that Yoshi, Charlie, Shedrick even have some talent in them. It's just,
Yeah.
with this offensive line, it makes it bad on the quarterbacks. So the quarterbacks are already somewhat inaccurate or fully inaccurate that the plays just don't formulate like they should.
Yeah, man. That's not to say we can't see anything. We see that these guys can ball, right? We're seeing that. It's just like how good can they be? And I guess it's preseason, so all you really want to know is that you have a guy, right? Charlie Jones flash tonight. I still think Yoshivas is a guy, man. I think he's a dude. But I think man, that deep pass in the end zone, if it's just a little bit further out in front of him, can he have a chance to go get that ball? You know what I mean?
Right.
I think you're a
No,
little bit
I
ahead of me on the
completely
game.
get it.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
I'm a
who's
little
this
bit
number
ahead of you,
11 guy?
but yeah,
I just saw the
Owen
sack.
Carney. Owen Carney makes the sack right there on that last play. I mean, that was nasty. Number 90.
Owen Carney. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Owen Carney Jr. Where is he? Is he a traveling? What is he? He's from Illinois, right? But is he like an
Illinois,
NFL journeyman or how long has he been there? Is he a first year player?
First year, yeah. Actually, this would be second year. He was probably in practice squad last year.
Looks like he was with the Dolphins last year, potentially.
Yeah. What do you want to see from Browning on this last drive, bro?
Man, I just want to see him throw it deep, man. I honestly do not care if it's completed. Throw the ball deep in the vicinity of the receiver, and let's see if they can go get it. Let's work Charlie Jones. Let's work Dre. Let's see if they can create some offense on this drive. 6 points. Yep. I mean, how many points did we score in the last week? 19? Well, it was something low. We need to see some points, man. I get it. It's the backup quarterback, but I just want to see some aggressiveness, man.
I can tell you, we scored 19 points last week against Green Bay.
Yeah, man, 19, man. We know Browning.
The quarterbacks last week, they were getting absolutely destroyed. Simeon was getting destroyed in that second half last week.
Well, last week, the offensive linemen were basically like traffic cones, right? They were just letting people go through and kind of directing people on where to go. But this week, it seems like they're actually kind of holding up, right? It's a little bit better. It's not like last week. But what we're seeing now, man, we're just we're really not. We just need to see some of those, some of the passes that we need to just see, if a guy can go get it, we need to see it. I think Charlie's out of the game. Charlie Jones is out of the game, I think, at this point.
Yeah, we got Mac Hippenhammer, we got Yoshi, we got Malachi Carter, and Christian Trahan, the tight end.
Christian Trahan, man. Trahan. I don't know much about him, but he looks beefy, if that's a good word. I don't know if that's a good word, but it looks like he could go out there and block someone.
Ran like a pause. He ran like a 4.95 or something ridiculous. He ran like
that's the guy. That's him. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember talking about him. Yeah, I remember talking about him, man. But it seems like he might be able to help in the run game, man. He's got some good size on him. He's out there lined up in the slot.
There you go.
He's wide open. He was wide open. He was wide open, though. Did you see him on the last play? He was wide open.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm ahead of Eric. So once he sees the play,
just slightly. You might be ahead of me too out there if you're watching, but I'm a little bit late reacting. I like Hippenhammer, though, man. The kid from Miami, Ohio. What's not to love about people from Miami, Ohio? Throw it to Yoshi.
Yeah, right.
Look at Jake Browning, man.
Right there.
Vanilla Vic reincarnated. Really, I hate his body language, though, man. Don't you hate the body language? It reminds you of Andy Dalton, man.
He tries to be like Burrow, though, right? He tries to make that little extra move, escape pressure, get the first down. He makes a smart quarterback play, but he loves to be like Joe Burrow-esque, escaping that pressure on the back line, stepping up in the pocket and running free.
I think I understand that. Imitating Joe Burrow, you see Joe Shiesty, you know what I mean, and you want to kind of imitate what you're seeing there. But man, you ain't Joe Burrow, man. We just need you to just like do your job, stay on point, stay on time, give the receiver a chance to make a play, and let's see if these guys can do it, right? Like, God forbid if we actually need one of these guys to step into a game and actually play, we will likely lose. Like you know what I mean? It's unless we're up by 20 and it's 5 minutes left on the shot clock on the clock. So yeah, man, I think the quarterback play is one thing that's been very frustrating, in this preseason. I understand it is preseason, so how much does it matter? Some people will tell you not at all. Some people will tell you just a little bit, and some will tell you, hey, it's everything. But I think it's kind of somewhere right in the middle, and we just need to see, like Yoshivas on that deep fade route into the end zone, the ball was overthrown to hit the cornerback in the midsection in the back. Nobody's catching that, man. You know what I mean? Just give him a shot.
Yeah.
But what I do think though, Game On, I think that Charlie Jones and Yoshivas are locked to make this roster, man. And it's really cool to kind of see that right now coming into play live. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. To finally see Charlie this week. Last week, he was kind of like a forgotten man on the field, only 2 targets, 11 yards. This week, more of an accentuation of the offense, especially in that second half. I love to see what I'm seeing right now, which is a mix of Yoshi and Charlie on the field together, moving the football down the field and putting us into scoring position. With Burrow, though, I just know they can be so much better. Like Charlie is creating some serious separation on his routes. It's just the quarterback reading it late and not anticipating his openness, right? Like he's having to come back to the football or having to wait on the quarterback. And so I think like you're not being able to see the full what we could see from Chuck Sizzle. Yoshi, he's making, acrobatic catches left and right. He didn't make the comeback or the fade route catch on the sideline, but he had the third down catch over the top. I think it was a post route deep. And so, I mean, what more can you say, man? I'm just loving what I'm seeing from these two guys. Even Shedrick Jackson so far. He's really underrated, impressing. Like in speed, what I love, or in space, that speed, it's really showing up right now.
I know I'm behind you, but shout out to Jake Browning, man, making that run, right? Washington's finest, just making something happen. You know what I mean? Making something happen out there, man, running, scrambling for getting some yards there, making a play, man, trusting his feet. Because right now, Jake Brown, you got one drive for the rest of your life, man. I'm guessing we got a touchdown. I don't know. Yoshi, if we're giving away a jersey,
you're going to love this play. That is grown man strength right there, Eric. Just wait. Just wait.
Let's see what we got,
man. You're going to love it. Cannot wait.
Come on, man. We already
Shout
know
out
what
to
time
all
it
you
is,
out
man.
there. Shout out to all you out there in the chat. Thank you for joining us tonight. We could not do this without you. You guys are fantastic. Appreciate all the love and support that you've given us to be able to do this show. We're so excited. Cannot wait. But yeah, thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. I echo the same sentiments as my boy Game On and Who Day all day, every day. And without you all, man, we wouldn't be able to do this. So, man, we appreciate you all. Let's see what happens here. What we got? Chase Brown, huh? I know I'm a little bit delayed, but Chase Brown inside zone. There we go. Chase Brown inside zone. Huh? Yeah, man. I think that was a great catch there by Yoshi, man. Huh? He had 5 or 6 targets. I think he's got caught half of them.
Grown man strength right there from
Back
Yoshi.
shoulder.
Just
yeah, man.
back shoulder beats the DB. That strength, the animal strength, just pulling it down. I mean, you talked about it. The strength of he's got really strong hands now. You put it on him, he's going to come down with it. I think in college it was like 65% of his one-on-one balls he was catching. So when he was facing man pressure, I mean that's a very high rate for somebody in contested.
Let's see what we got here, man. I'm looking at this play. I know I'm behind you.
All right.
So we'll see what happens. They're just Chase Brown. He crossed there, right? There he goes. We got the TD on the board.
Baby.
Chase Brown running like he's got to get in there.
Bengals! Let's go, baby. Come on. Once the season starts, man, I'm going to be so fired up on this. I cannot wait.
Man, we're going to be hyped up, man. And Chase Brown, man, look at that run right there, man. Putting the shoulder down. He scored the first time, right? But it's the Bengals. You got to score twice, man, for them to give it to you. It's the Bengals. Yeah. You got to put in there twice, man.
Chase Brown. What?
Just think.
Say a little something about Chase Brown. What you've seen so far. What you like from Chase?
Man, let me be honest. I've been disappointed with Chase Brown. Haven't seen much that I thought. I thought that he would come into the team and be a bright spot out of the running back room. You know, when you play running back, man, you get the ball a ton. You get a lot of opportunity to make plays. If you're good, it's going to show up on tape because you're going to have the opportunities. Now, in some systems and some opportunities he's had, the offensive line hasn't been as good, right? But I still feel like sometimes you kind of, I guess from like a carrying the ball standpoint, it kind of lacks. But right there was a great run. But he has been very impressive in the pass catching game. And he does have the wiggle. So I'm wondering, like, does Chase just need to settle in, and do we need to see him with the ones? You know what I mean? That offensive line that's going to maybe create some gaps there to where he can have a open gap and hit it, and then maybe make a guy miss and boom, split for 50 to 60 yards. I don't know, man, but I think that Chase Brown in general, maybe my expectations were a little bit too high for him, but I think still to be determined. Like, the jury's still out on him. And all these rookies, really, the jury's still out. But I think like a running back specifically, man, they get the ball all the time. What does he have? 10 touches this game? That's a lot of opportunity. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot more than a lot of guys will get.
I'll tell you how many touches Chase Brown has. Brown right now, so the Bengals are up 13-10, and Brown has 9 touches, 18 yards, 1 touchdown rushing, and then looks like receiving, he has 2 targets, 1 catch, 0 yards. So you're right. I mean, you know, he's gotten a little bit of volume here, but just not enough to break out. And remember, he did have the 10-yard run, right? Through the tackles, they created a little bit of an open lane, and that's when you saw that quickness, that burst. That's what I'm looking for from him. When we saw that in open space last week with the catch in space against the Packers he took for 20 yards, that's the Chase Brown that I've been looking for. But it feels like, you know, with this secondary offensive line, he just hasn't been able to get going. And, yeah, I would agree with you. I think it's been a little bit of a disappointment thus far. Having said that, though, I mean, Chris Evans, 7 carries, 15 yards, so –
that's not good right now. That's not good.
That's a little bit of a disappointment too. This offensive line,
I got
running
for Chris Evans.
Say again.
I got something here for Chris Evans, man. I actually was planning to put it on, but I abstained. But I refrained from putting it on. But I'll show you here in a second.
Okay, we got 24
a little
seconds
prop exercise on the first show, man.
1st and 10. The Falcons are on.
What'd you say,
30.
Casey?
The Falcons are on the 30-yard line. Shout out to Chi-Town Real Estate. Thank you so much for the $5 donation. We appreciate you. You know, guys, anything to, you know, help us love, subscribe, you know, join the chatter, man. This is an up and coming, you know, business, Chatterbox Sports. They're really doing their best to put us on the ground and give you the Bengals content first and foremost. And we love talking Bengals, Eric and I. We've been in the spaces for a long time. We love watching these guys. This is like our passion in life. So, thank you so much to Chatterbox Sports, and we appreciate you, Super Chat. You guys out there who donate to us to help us keep it moving.
Chatterbox Sports, man. Thank you so much for the donation. Shout out to Chatterbox, man, giving us the platform, giving us the opportunity. I first learned about Chatterbox watching my brother play high school football, and I became a subscriber there. And just shout out to the opportunity and giving us an opportunity to talk Bengals, right? Who dey?
Who dey, baby? 11 seconds ago, 3rd and 6 right now. They're on the 28-yard line. Again, 13-10.
28-yard line. This game's going to overtime. No overtime
Heineke,
in preseason.
Big throw. Ivy with the breakup, Eric, in the end zone.
Okay.
DJ Ivy.
Okay. DJ Ivy with the breakup?
We needed.
I thought they said he was washed, man. They said he was getting cooked up today. What happened?
4th and 6. They have to go for the field goal now with 6 seconds to go in the game. 13-10. This could end in a tie.
Beautiful breakup there by DJ Ivy. I'm just seeing it. No panic in his game. You heard it here first, man. No panic in DJ's game. They got to go for the team, man. There's no ties in preseason.
We talked about it before the show started, right? When you're a DB, you kind of have to leave that last play behind you, move on to the next one. DJ Ivy with a big pass breakup to force that 4th and 6, and now let's see what happens with the field goal.
Yeah, I think that DJ Ivy, awesome play right there, man. He could have panicked and pulled the guy down. He could have done a lot of stuff in that situation. Stayed calm and just made a play on the ball, man.
I love our fans, man. Can I just say, you guys are the heart and soul of what makes these Bengals roar. You guys deliver night and day, whether it be content, whether it be just love on the TL, everything that you guys do. I'm so thankful that our fan base, has the passion that they do. That Buffalo Bills game lives in my mind. I cannot wait to get back to the stadium this year, Eric, and witness that once again. The passion and the field goal.
I wasn't at the game. I wasn't at the game, man, but literally had chills watching the clips from the Buffalo Bills game. You know what I mean?
Before the game starts, right? They're playing the Monday Night Football song, and then you just hear, who dey? Who dey? Who dey? They're going to beat them Bengals. Nobody. And then, who was it? It was Joe turns to Troy, and he says, I think they're ready. And then he's like, I think so. And that was a big moment, I think, for Cincinnati to show, we are here. We are passionate about this team. And this season is for real. We are all about it.
Absolutely, man. Now, look, I'm a rookie, man, so I'm asking you this one time. Where do I see the chat, man? Because I'm looking for it. I want to see what the people are saying out there, and I can't find it. I'm looking now.
Here's what you do. If you want to chat or you want to view the chat, what you do is you just go to youtube.com, type in Chatterbox Sports. This stream is live currently. Click on the stream, and you'll be able to see the comments below. And you should be able to comment in that chat.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. First of all, giving the people a quick infomercial, and your main man an infomercial as well, too, man. I appreciate that. Couldn't do without you, Game On. Couldn't do without you, man.
Let's do the show, baby. Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's get to Who they, baby?
Welcome in. You are listening to Chatterbox Bengals. I'm so excited, Eric, for this season and what we've got going on. But this is our first official show. We're so excited to have you here today. And we're excited to be here with you to deliver you Bengals content and, talk about this game tonight. Eric, what's going on, brother?
First of all, I just want to say, hey, what a great preseason game. Football is back, baby. Game on. Welcome. Glad to be here with you, brother. Shout out to Chatterbox Sports giving us the platform to talk about the Bengals, man. What an amazing opportunity. And shout out to the people in the chat, man. Nathan Hines with the Houday, Todd with the Hudo, Trey Carlisle, Sir Boy Wonder, 513. Houday, y'all. We're here. We're here to talk about the game. And, man, I'm pumped football is back, man. And we got a lot to talk about tonight.
We do. And let's kick it off with our first topic, man. It's the starters. What did you see out of the starters tonight?
So, man, I want to talk a little bit about what we saw from that defense, right? Because that was the first team that hit the field, first team defense. We saw some good plays. We saw some bad. Now, that first drive, man, there was a little bit of give, right? They always like to say when you're out there, hey, bend, don't break, bend, don't break. Well, at first we were breaking, okay? And then we started to bend a little bit, and then they came together. And at the end, on that last drive close to the end zone, Joseph Ossai got interception, man, off a tip pass. So I thought we saw some promise there. I did not like what we saw from the back half in the run game. I saw Nick Scott miss a tackle on Bijan Robinson up the middle that split for like 20-plus yards. But I think we saw that Bengals defense that we saw from this past season, right? Hell, we may not be and I hate to say this, guys, Bengals fans in the chat, you ain't gonna want to hear this, okay? We may not be the steel curtain from way back when, but when you need to get a play the most, the Bengals are gonna make it, and that's kind of back to that Ravens game when Sam Hubbard takes the tip fumble to the back for the touchdown. You know what I mean? So, some promise, man, some promise.
Yeah, 4 tipped passes in the first half tonight, Eric. I think it speaks volumes about our defense. A bend, don't break defense, always looking to create turnovers on that first drive. They were driving down the field. Desmond Ridder looked good. They put themselves in harm's way, Atlanta, with a few penalties that brought them back a little bit. But then Mike Hilton with the solid tip, which we've seen multiple times from him, creating an opportunity for Joseph Ossai to intercept the ball. What a beautiful play. I think we do have that play if we can show the crew, or we can show the fans, that play right here and now.
In motion.
Let's see what we got here.
Ridder.
This is the play.
To Miller. That one's deflected up in the air. Picked off.
Can I just say this, man? Joseph Ossai got the pick. You know what I mean? They used to say, hey, get a date to prom. Joseph Ossai makes the play and gets the pick, right? But let's talk about Mike Hilton, how Mike Hilton seems to always get his hands on the ball, man, and he's always making plays, man. I love it. I love it. Because it's just an out route, a 5-yard out route. Mike Hilton's there. He plays. Well, he goes. It's actually a wheel route. He gets over top, makes the break up there, man. Mike Hilton is incredible, man.
Feisty. That's a Lou Anarumo slot corner right there. A feisty guy that just gets in there, creates havoc, disruptions, and that's the way that the Bengals create turnovers, man. Mike Hilton is one of the best at doing that, and he's done it time and time again. The Titans game comes to mind on that, when he was able to read the quarterback's eyes on that screenplay, jump in front of the football, make the interception, return. I mean, that's vintage Mike Hilton right there. I can't say enough about the guy and what he can do at that position.
Man, Mike Hilton in general, to me, like, yes, he's a guy to me, like, if you're someone, trying to find out, hey, how can I make it in the league? I don't run a 4.2. I'm not the biggest guy. Mike Hilton's that guy. You know what I mean? Came from Ole Miss, wasn't a highly touted prospect coming out in the draft, and he is always around the football making plays, man. And honestly, I think he's very important to what, like, the success is now for this team, and I love it, man. But as we talk about Mike Hilton, we got to talk about Joseph Osai making the pick, right? Like the Nigerian Nightmare, a guy we've always thought about, hey, look, this cat eventually is going to be good. Tonight, I think that he showed he's going to ball out this season.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, pressure after pressure, even after that first quarter when the second team came in, it looked like he was getting to the quarterback consistently. I think he had a sack in this game as well as the interception. I mean, what can you say about Joseph Osai? I think Bengals fans have a lot of strong opinions about how Joseph Osai should play this season, and hopefully he gets the opportunity to. Last year, limited snaps throughout the season. I think about 15 snaps on average throughout the season. Then towards the end of the season, starts to show out. They give him more snaps going into the playoffs. I mean, he was the pass rush in that Kansas City game in the AFC Championship game. So excited about Joseph Osai. Cannot wait to see what he's going to do.
And I'll say this, man. Joseph Osai truly has been a guy who I think all Bengals fans have really thought highly of, and we're expecting so much production out of him to be true. I think truly we can really expect a huge season from him, man. And I'm just hoping that this chemistry with Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard, and the defensive line in general, of course, you'll sprinkle Myles Murphy in the interior. I don't want to, go too much on Myles right now, but I truly believe that Joseph Osai is going to be a big part of why this defensive line goes from, hey, we get a lot of pressures to, hey, we are now getting pressure, but turn that pressure into sacks, man. So really good, man, really good stuff from Joseph Osai.
The other thing too, Eric, they're lining them up at 5, 1, and 3. They're lining them up in 3 tech on the outside and on the interior at defensive tackle. I mean, how many guys do you see actually being able to do that and doing it with success at the end? I mean, when was the last time you saw a guy that versatile? And the Bengals can also put him at outside linebacker if they wanted to. Joseph Osai, mark my words, is going to be a tool that they can play all over the field for this defense moving forward, and I cannot wait to see it, man.
If you're wondering, I mean, first of all, GameOn's always got the juice. But if you're wondering why we call Joseph Osai the Nigerian Nightmare, at Texas, way back when he was in college, that's what they called him. It was a little bit of his nickname. So, no, man, I'm with you, dude. I think Joseph Osai will be awesome. I think this defense is going to be awesome. I think the starters on defense showed a lot. But what about offense? We didn't see much of the offensive starters, so I guess not really much to talk about there in that respect. You know what I mean? Did you have anything that you wanted to kind of add in there? Or?
Yeah, Jonah Williams, he looked good tonight, Eric. I mean,
you're right.
In that first quarter, Trevor Siemian had all the time in the world, I believe, to be able to make the throws, to be able to make the plays. And a couple of them, they went the wrong way, or they wound up being duds of throws. But for the majority of that first quarter, the offensive line looked great, and Jonah Williams was playing at right tackle. And so I think a lot of people thought what Jackson Carman was supposed to be moving into this season, being the number 1 right tackle over Jonah Williams. Jonah Williams has clearly beaten him already, and he looks the part, ready to play week 1 of the season.
Yeah. I think at this point, you can stamp it. It's Jonah's job, right? Look, they had a competition for about a week and a half. Jonah looked awesome. Jonah's got the man bun this year too, right? Has he got the man bun? Has he still got the man bun?
He's still got the man bun.
I don't know if we need someone to confirm out in the chat if Jonah Williams still has the man bun. Because if he has the man bun, you know what I mean? Jonah is going to be unstoppable with the man bun. And he looks incredible. It's showing. He looks great in pass blocking. He looks good in camp. And quite frankly, man, I think Jonah Williams is a starting right tackle. And then Jackson Carman, we kind of talked about him initially. Like we talked about him watching the game. And we know he's spiraling. So he won't be the backup right tackle likely. They moved him to left. They're probably moving back to right. They'll move him to guard. Just really to see, hey, is there anywhere you could be on this roster and make a contribution? And then when La'el Collins comes back, he'll be the backup right tackle. And I'm a Lyle Collins guy, man. When Lyle posted that picture, man, with him in the, with the chain on, I'm saying, man, this guy been in the gym. You know what I mean? But Jonah Williams, man, he's been incredible. And I'm super impressed kind of how he handled. I know, like, initially handling the situation, hearing your job calling and say, hey, Jonah, we're bringing in your replacement tomorrow. That's not a good look, right? That's not a good feeling. But for him to respond and then be able to have the success he's having, almost like in a big critical year of his career, is awesome, man. So I'm happy to see that for Jonah.
Jonah can really revitalize his offensive line career this year if he plays really well at right tackle. Now, I know what people are saying. Hey, there's a big discrepancy in the money at left and right. To be honest with you, average tackles people get paid in the NFL. Average tackles. Mike McGlinchey, I think, just made, $75 million over 4 years, right? There's been quite a few guys. Jawan Taylor, who played right tackle last year, I think a lot of Chiefs fans thought he was going to be left tackle, but he ended up making $20 million per. So that right tackle position is really moving up in the overall number AVV per year right now. And so Jonah Williams can really solidify his overall contract number with playing a solid season this year and revitalizing that market for him moving forward.
Yeah, man. I think everybody from really high school to college to NFL, everybody got an offensive line problem, man. People need offensive line, and being a guy who can play well, heck, man. I mean, you're going to get paid, right? We just saw the Atlanta Falcons pay a guy top money last year, and I think he was a right tackle, and that was something we probably didn't expect, but he got paid, man. So I think, like, for Jonah Williams, this is huge. It was great to see him tonight. I couldn't quite catch the beginning of the game because I had some issues with the getting signed up. But I think Jonah, man, is in for a big year. And truly, I know people have said, we want Lyle Collins. We don't want Jonah. Or it's been the opposite. We want Jonah. We don't want Lyle. Truly, I think, as for all Bengals fans, I think everyone is in agreement that we don't care. We just want the person that's in the right tackle position to play well, protect Joe Burrow, and let's go win a championship, right? Like, that's what we all care about. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%. At the end of the day, Eric, it does not matter. As long as Jonah Williams plays well at right tackle, I mean, I do not care the number that he is being paid. I do not, like, if Lyle Collins comes back and challenges him for that position and Lyle doesn't win or Jonah doesn't win, we've got serious depth on this team. And I'm excited about it because we haven't had serious depth on this team at the tackle position in a very long time. So that's something that I think is super imperative in order to win a Super Bowl. You give Joe time, he will cook. And this year, with a healthy offensive line, you can best believe that the Bengals are absolutely Super Bowl contenders. And there is not a Bengals fan out there that shouldn't feel like the Bengals will not win the Super Bowl this year with what they have.
That's all facts, man. I couldn't have said it better, my man. I wanted to give a shout out to my man Evan, man. He said, teach me football. And he said, is Joe Burrow even good? Evan, I want you to know, man, Joe Burrow is good at football. And just stick around. Evan is the GOAT. And you'll see a little bit more, my friend, in the season when the season starts. But let's look at this QB play, man. We saw the QB play tonight. We saw Jake Browning. We saw Trevor Siemian. And I'll let you kick it off, man, because I want you to do the honors.
Man, let's talk about Trevor Siemian, right? I mean, he starts off in the first quarter, driving down the field. Looks like they're potentially going to score. Kind of stale. They run two rush plays. They go third down, an incompletion, and he ends up stalling out. And I think they went for it on 4th and 2. It was a 25-yard pass to Trent Irwin in the end zone, right hash, and incomplete pass. A lot of people contest PI, but that was the only time that I felt like Trevor Siemian really looked good tonight, other than right before the half when he had a mixture of Charlie and Yoshi in order to get into field goal range and once again tie the game up right before halftime. But Trevor Siemian, to me, I mean, from quarterback play, I just felt like, he made some really errant throws. He wasn't trying to do too much, but he just was not like, he wasn't on target, Eric. Like, he wasn't a quarterback that I'm like, man, this really looks like a quarterback too to me. Rolls left, rolls right, no mobility whatsoever. And in this day and age, you have to have mobility in the NFL, regardless of if you're a starter or a backup. And if you're not going to be mobile, you better be accurate. And he was not accurate tonight.
Yeah, man. We saw Jake Browning. We saw Trevor Siemian. Where do we start, man? I think the quarterback play that and again, we're in preseason. I might be overreacting. Maybe Trevor Siemian goes on to be a freaking all-pro somewhere, or, maybe Jake Browning turns into Peyton Manning. But it's been below average, to be honest, man. And I think it's been so, I hate to say bad, but it's been so inconsistent that it's affecting the evaluation, I think, of some of the offensive weapons. Now, you might see a guy make a play here or there, right? You might see a guy make a play here or there. You might see we saw we saw Charlie Jones balling out, getting some good catches today, getting some separation. He had a great play where they called a flag. But he had a great play there. But I truly believe there's opportunities on the field being missed, right? Like you see Andre Yoshivas going to the end zone on a fade route, and the vertical, the ball is thrown really, it's short, man. And some people are saying, hey, you can fight back for that ball and make a play. But I'm here to tell you guys, that could have been Jamar Chase. I mean, maybe not T. Higgins, because T. Higgins is 6'4", and he's an absolute animal. Could have been a lot of different players, a lot of elite receivers that aren't making the play on a deep ball that hits the DB in the center of the back. So I think if you're the Bengals right now, you're probably thinking, we need to find a backup quarterback tonight. We need to get on the plane. We need to get on Google, get on Career Builder, whatever you got to do. Find a backup quarterback that can come in next week, play, and find a guy who, look, we're not asking for a Hall of Famer. We're just asking for a guy who can put the ball where it needs to be and play on time, right? Because that's the biggest thing, right?
Yeah.
The quarterback is about timing.
Well, I mean, let's talk about Jake Browning for a second, because I feel like that second half started similar how the first half started with Siemian, where he drove him right down the field, a nice mixture of Cedric Jackson, Yoshivas, and Charlie Jones. He had a 7-yard pass to Stanley Morgan, which was short of the line to gain, and we ended up kicking a field goal at about the Atlanta 13, and it made it 6-3. But then he came back the following drive, and he was able to drive us down the field again. We're at the Atlanta 28. It's 4th and 3, and Zach Taylor wants to go for it. A short pass to Devin Asiasi. He doesn't make the line to gain. But I still feel like Browning was consistently moving the football tonight, and it's something that Siemian was not able to do. Siemian did it on the first drive. He did it right before halftime, but the other 3 drives, he wasn't able to accomplish that, right? Ended up 7 of 14 for, I think, 64 yards. Very, very underwhelming performance. Browning, on the other hand, I feel like had multiple opportunities where he actually did perform well. 16 of 22, 140 yards. He did have the pick. Pick,
yeah.
We kind of disagree a little bit. You feel like Yoshi should have been able to make a play on that football. I feel like Browning threw it in harm's way. To me, it was his worst throw of the night. To me, he played well otherwise. You tell me.
Let the record show. This is the first show, right? And Game On's my boy, right? I was joking. Yoshivas, there's no way in HE hockey sticks that Yoshivas could have made that play. I was simply trolling, right? I was simply making a troll saying, hey, he should have made that play when in reality there was no way he was making that. I want to give a shout out to Taryn checking in, to Kenzie, JD, Jerry checking in as well too, Jordan, and Ricky Logan checking in. Hey, shout out to y'all. Thanks for tuning in to Chatterbox Bengals and catching the game with us. But I want to say, man, I thought what you said about Jake Browning was awesome, right? I do think that the night wasn't so bad for Jake. He's Washington's finest, by the way, right? One of the finest gentlemen from Washington coming to Cincinnati. But what I do want to say is I hated the body language on the interception. Maybe Jake Browning, maybe the night wasn't bad, right? But it wasn't good. It wasn't good to me. You know what I mean? I guess that's what I'm saying.
He even rushed the football 4 times for 50 yards. I mean, you saw the mobility of a quarterback that could potentially, I think, be in a backup role. Now, last week, it was a similar situation where I think he threw it for 95 yards and was like 7 of 10 or, 7 of 12. And it was kind of a lackluster performance still. But I don't know. He's the better option is what I'm trying to say. Right?
He's
like
definitely the better option.
Clearly worse.
Yeah. He's the better option of the two, no doubt. No doubt. What do you think, man? You want to talk about this D-line? We kind of talked about the quarterbacks a lot. And look, the quarterback play ain't changing that much. Joe Burrow ain't walking. Well, actually, he is walking through that door. Wouldn't be surprised if we might see Joe on the practice field this coming week. But let's talk about the D-line, man. You love what you saw.
I want to say this. I want to say this before we go to that. That remember, Browning was playing with a much worse offensive line than Trevor Siemian. Trevor Siemian had all the time in the world. Browning was running for his life back there and was still able to make plays. I just want to say that for the record. All right.
Browning did start last week, though, didn't he? Didn't Browning start last week?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about the
defensive line.
You love what you saw tonight, right? You were calling me, oh my gosh, you loved it. Talk about it, man.
Dude, all right. So I think, first quarter, second quarter, we got to see a mixture of Osai, Raymond Johnson III, one of the guys that I truly love, a practice squad player near and dear to my heart that, every time I see him out there, man, he just plays tough. He plays hard. And tonight, I think he had 4 pressures. I think he might have had a sack and a half. Him and Gunter got there at the same time on one, and on another pressure, he forced a 4th down because the quarterback had no time to be able to evade him. So, I really, really liked what I saw from Osai and Johnson. With Gunter out there, I mean, Gunter was still getting to the quarterback too. And then Carter had a few where he just beat his man off the line and was able to get to the quarterback, forcing him to roll right. And again, force a throw that maybe was ill-timed, incomplete, and helped out this defensive line to get off the field on 3rd down. So, I mean, all in all, I really, really liked the defensive pressure from the defensive line. I feel like they were getting to Atlanta pretty much all night long. The only exception is probably the touchdown drive where they were able to pick us apart. But other than that, they played really, really well. And then Owen Carney late had that sack, number 90, where the quarterback rolls left. I think Heineke rolls left.
Yeah.
He's chasing him from the lefty end side, and just the speed of Carney got to the quarterback before he was able to throw the football. So I can't say enough about the defensive pressure tonight.
Yeah, man, I thought the pressure was there. I thought early when with the starters, I thought maybe it wasn't quite where you wanted it to be. But I don't think Trey Hendrickson suited up tonight. Or he at least didn't. He didn't get out there. But
no. He played.
He did play.
He did play.
Okay.
Trey Hendrickson was out there.
He wasn't making much noise.
They had him. They didn't have him rushing too much. I think a lot of times he was like sitting on snaps.
Ritter?
He wasn't actually rushing too much.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think watching that first team defense, the pressure wasn't there. But the second team, when that second team came in the game, I was like, holy crap, man, these dudes are hungry. These dudes are like, and dude, honestly, Miles Murphy's out, right? So he wasn't out there. He's sick.
Yeah.
So you're talking
Sample.
about Raymond. I saw someone in the chat say, hey, is Raymond Johnson sponsored by Game On? He is. He is sponsored by Game On. Game On is sponsoring Raymond Johnson, sending him socks, sending him gloves, whatever you think about Game On, sending it to him. Raymond's out there. Joseph Osai is out there. You saw Zach Carter flashing as well, too. And the one thing I really love the most from the backup D-line is last week, rewind last week to the last preseason game, right? What you saw in that game was a lot of defensive line getting moved, right? A lot of gaps being created. The second team did not look good against the run. They looked absolutely terrible. And I know when they play on Thursday last week, so they probably did a film on Friday. So I know.
Last Friday.
What they played.
Last Friday.
They played Friday.
Last Friday.
So on Friday, when they played last Friday, right? On Friday, they went to that film room on Saturday. And they said, and Lou Anarumo said, hey, guys, what we did yesterday night against the run was absolutely terrible. We need to be better. And he probably used a different choice words than what I'll say today. But you saw the improvement there in the run game from the defensive line. And I thought that was very important because last week I'm thinking, man, the entire front seven was terrible. Honestly, that's what I'm really thinking. Like, hey, the entire front seven. And when I say front seven, I mean the linebackers and the D-line, right? I'm saying, man, they're not doing good. But the reality is that it all starts up front. If your defensive line is getting pushed, those linebackers got no shot against a 6'6", 350-pound man coming to block you. You know what I mean? That moves like a gazelle, and he shouldn't move that way. But I thought we saw that improvement today, man. I thought it was really good to see that. And I was impressed. I was impressed with Zach Carter and Cam Sample. I truly was, man. And I also was impressed with Joseph Osai. Obviously, I think he's up for an incredible year. We talked about the starters. Technically, Joseph's a second-string guy. He could be a starter somewhere else. But technically, he's a backup. You know what I mean? And like to have that kind of depth, it 1,000% speaks to Lou Anarumo and what he's built as a GM here in Cincinnati, really, with the scouting department he has and like how they put this team together. This defensive line is one of the deepest rooms in football, no doubt.
Yeah, and even the guys who are probably not going to make the roster were great in run defense tonight. Like Raymond Johnson III was setting the edge. I felt like Owen Carney played great tonight. Dominique Davis, usually last week he had 40% pass rush win rate. This week I feel like he was doing well in run defense. J2 Faley, he had a missed tackle, I think, but they cleaned it up at linebacker. I think Marcus Bailey ended up making that play. But this defensive line was really, really helping tonight. The exception is that one drive, again, where they just ran it right down the field, scored a touchdown. But other than that, like that second quarter was very good. That fourth quarter to me was very good. Like this defensive line did a really, really good job tonight. And again, you're right. It speaks volumes to, Lou Anarumo, the schemes that he brings, the toughness of Marion Hobby and him coming from Clemson and having that background. I think this defensive line played so well tonight. And, just can't wait to see these guys moving forward. Because I do think, I told you this before, this is off this show. I told you that if Gunter, Johnson, one of these guys on the back end continues to play really well, this team could be using that player as leverage in a trade.
Yeah. How about Jeffrey Gunter, right? How about him getting the opportunity tonight, maybe a little bit more snaps than he really is used to because Miles is out, and taking full advantage of it, man. You noticed that Jeffrey Gunter was on the field, right? You saw it. Like sometimes when you're watching a game, like we know Trey Hendrickson wasn't going all out tonight, right? So you're probably like you're seeing Trey, but you're not seeing Trey, if you know what I mean.
Right.
And Jeffrey Gunter, to me, I thought he showed up on tape, man. He hustled. And look, man, I'm very pumped for this defensive line. I'm very excited to see how it works out when they start making the roster cuts. You kind of hinted towards the roster cuts, right? And maybe how they might maneuver and make some strategic things happen to maybe use that as an asset. But it's a deep room, man. It's a deep room.
I'd say it again, man. For the defensive line, on the back end, it's between Dominique Davis, Jay Tufele, and Jeffrey Gunter. One of those guys
100%.
will make the roster at the end of the day, and the other two will be off. And they'll probably look at which of the two they could potentially keep on practice squad and more than likely protect if they make it to practice squad. So if they feel like Gunter is a can't miss, they have to have him on the roster, and they think that Jay Tufele, hey, he was already waived before and nobody picked him up prior. It was us that claimed him. We were able to stash him on our practice squad last year. Maybe we could do it again. These are the decisions that are going to come down. Dominic Davis was on the practice squad as well last year. So
absolutely, man.
It could be that, very well be that way. And remember, the team can bring them up for a game if they're playing against a run-heavy team with run-heavy schemes. So, I mean, that all needs to be in consideration when you think about this defensive line moving forward. All right, let's move on to the offensive line.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. You talked about Jonah. Go ahead, man. You talked about Jonah, Carmen. Right? You want to start with Jackson? I guess we can talk about Jackson Carmen, man. And I don't know if you want me to kick it off.
We got to start with Jackson. But once again, I want to say shout out to the chat once again. Ricky Logan Jr., JD, Josh K, Jerry Law, Tom Brooks. These people have been with us on Twitter for a long time. We appreciate you for being here today and supporting us. So thank you so much for being here.
Shout out to Josh K, Game On. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if that's the Josh we know from Twitter, but Josh K knows ball. Look at him. He says Tufele clears. This guy knows ball, man. He knows ball.
Clears.
He clears. I agree, man. I think Carmen's cooked, man. I think Carmen's cooked too, man. We can kind of talk about Carmen. And I truly last year, okay, rewind, guys. Give me a break. We were in the game against the Bills, okay, and Jackson Carmen, he was doing good. He had some good blocks. He did some good plays on the run. I said, man, this guy looks like a tackle, a left tackle is what I was saying. You know what I mean? And quite frankly, he is absolutely cooked, man. He is Carmen to the point, like I want him to do well. I'm like rooting for his success, honestly. But truthfully, he is in the position, and I think we talked about it before we actually kicked off the show. The Bengals are literally saying, hey, man, we're going to try a left tackle, maybe left guard, a little bit of right guard, a little bit of right tackle. Can you find a spot on this roster, and can you make yourself valuable for us to be incentivized to make extra spot for you on the roster? You know what I mean? So I think he's in a really tough spot, man. I truly do. And I don't know. I think he'll be on the team. I do. I think when you get to the season, he'll be on the team. But, man, he's walking on eggshells, man. He's like the last resort, right? If you know what I mean?
First of all, ladies and gentlemen, when you think of Carmen, put the money out the window because a draft pick gets a fully guaranteed contract. So that's number one. Don't even pay attention to the money with Carmen. If you think you're going to save money by cutting him, you're not. He still gets paid. Number two, with Carmen, it's so frustrating because in that first quarter, he came in after the first series, and he looked fine. He looked fine until probably around, midway through the second quarter. Once Ford took over at right tackle, he didn't look so good anymore. He didn't look too good, and he was getting beat a lot. And then absolutely in the second half, you could tell they were just going to continue to play him. He hates it. Mentally, I don't think that I don't think that he likes being put in that situation. Maybe he feels like he's much better than what they're giving him credit for, making him play all of
Right.
these games. But for this coaching staff, you have to be consistent in order to be put into a situation to where we can rely on you when we need somebody. And right now, I don't know if they can rely on him. Now, having said that, Deontay Smith is the other tackle. And as you know, in the past 3 years, Deontay Smith has not been able to stay healthy year over year. He has had something going on with him where he has not been healthy, so he has not been put in that situation to where he's been that guy to be relied on. So can you really say that Deontay Smith can stay on this roster knowing full and well that you don't know if he can stay healthy, and Jackson Carman can stay healthy, but he has inconsistency? Which one is better? So far, Deontay has looked like the better swing tackle, which is what I think they're inevitably competing for in the starting roster. And so far, Carman, at least in the immediate of this game, looked better at left tackle because Deontay came in later on.
Now, I was down on Carman.
I think that's a battle.
I was down on Carman. Okay. I definitely, I kind of, the proverbial kick them when they're down. I kind of did that. But I do think Carman is a better option than Deontay Smith. I do. And the reason I'll say that is because he has been available outside of the game in the Super Bowl when he didn't play or dress. Okay, I don't know why. But outside of that moment in the Super Bowl when he wasn't available when we needed him the most, okay, I'll forget that. He has been available and he has been there. And the fact is he did play in that Bills game. Yes, it snowed. I'm one person to say, hey, the snow helped the offensive line out in that game. But he did shine, man, in that. And I think for Carman, and I'm not trying to get too deep into it, but I do think that part of the thing that he's dealing with is somehow 3 years. What has it been? 3 years? Or this is his third year or fourth? Yeah, 3 years. 3 years into the NFL, he's still battling maturity. He's still battling it, man.
Mm-hmm.
You could see it in that game, right? When you go back and you look at the last week, the preseason game, every single person is retweeting the post that our lovely co-host Parker posted out there about when Jackson Carman. Of course, it's a snap miscommunication first and foremost on the play where Jackson Carman doesn't even move. You know what I mean? It's a snap infraction. It's a mess up by the center, right? It's not Jackson Carman's fault. But to not move at all or show any effort whatsoever to put hands on anybody, it just kind of shows you like, man, maybe this guy is not all the way there with what's going on right now. Or maybe he's like, he thought he was going to be the starter. He's not getting a fair shot. Maybe, something's going on that's deeper and it's affecting his play as a player. And it's like, I don't know if it's going to drive him off the roster, but it's going to drive him to the back of the roster. But I think he will be a better option immediately than Deontay Smith at this timing point, right? Maybe Deontay Smith's a Hall of Famer, and I'm just like, maybe he proves me wrong, but I don't know.
This is one of those situations where it could be a Billy Price situation where he could be trade bait on the market for somebody that we could use at tackle, and he needs a change of scenery, in my opinion. Too comfortable in Cincinnati. Too easy of a job for him, he thinks. Just his team growing up was the Bengals. So I think he feels like he has it made. And it's not too comfortable over here, Jackson. We need you to play better. We need you to be consistent. And we need you to take this seriously. And right now, we're still dealing with this in year 3. For me, it's time to move on. What does that mean? For me, I think that there are going to be plenty of options. Remember, we got Max Sharping last year, and I know a lot of people don't like Sharping, but he has been okay in some circumstances. He
I'm
played
not a,
38 games in the NFL.
I was gonna say, I'm sorry to jump in there. I'm not an offensive line guru. Okay. I'm not an offensive line guru. But are you keeping Max Sharping over Jackson Carman on this roster? I know we want to talk about rookies here soon, but are you doing that? Because to me, I think Jackson Carman might do a better job at right guard than Max Sharping. And Jackson hasn't been doing a great job right now.
They got to put him in a game at right guard, because majority of the time so far it's been Cody Ford at right guard. And he played right tackle this week. Last week he played right guard. This week he's playing right tackle. Jackson played left tackle and right tackle. He hasn't played guard yet, I don't think, in the preseason. So,
okay.
Sharping has also been lining up at center, ahead of Trey Hill. Trey Hill has been lining up at right guard and then center. They're trying to figure out between these backup offensive linemen who they're going to keep that also has the most flexibility, that could step in a pinch. I don't believe that they are confident in Trey Hill as a backup center, and they're trying other options. That's why Cordell Volson is taking snaps at center. That's why Max Sharping is taking snaps at center. So I think they value the interior offensive lineman having flexibility more than they would value Jackson Carman just being able to fit in at guard, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, man, honestly. I truly do. And again, man, one thing I will never claim to be is an offensive line guru, but the things that we all know when we're looking at, we all can see it, right? We know that this guy is giving up on a play. We know that this guy just got cooked by a defensive end because either he's too slow off the ball or he doesn't have lateral quickness. These are things that we see, and they're very obvious to know. And Trey Hill's a guy, game on, for me, makes me nervous, honestly. Max Sharping makes me nervous. But maybe this is the year, game on. This is the year, right? The last 2 years, we've been riddled with injuries on the offensive line. No one talks about it. It's absolutely, outside of the quarterback, the most important part in football. 100%.
I think you can look at the offensive line the same way that you look at quarterback. If all of these guys stay healthy, we're going to win a bowl. If Joe Burrow stays healthy, we're going to win a bowl. Quarterback and offensive line together, it's a wrap. Not even a question, right? When we get into the backup offensive line, and remember, 3 backup offensive linemen last year, and we still lost by 3 points. So remember that Joe Burrow can still be Joe Burrow with a terrible offensive line. It would just be wonderful if everybody just stayed healthy for one freaking season so we could see what Joe Burrow would do in that situation. And I think he would come out smelling like a rose, 300-plus yards, 3 touchdowns, a victory, and in the end, a Super Bowl champion, Eric.
And we got to talk about the rookies. But I agree wholeheartedly. And yes, Joe Burrow can be Joe Burrow behind a terrible offensive line. We've seen it, right? I saw a number today. It said, I don't know if this is, I don't have the exact number, folks, but I'm going to say this anyway, okay? I do know the number is 49. Joe Burrow, since entering the NFL, has been pressured on 49.5% of his snaps. That is insane, considering what he's done to date, right? Like, if we could just, or they could just, offensive line, stay healthy, which I know some things, injuries you can't control, or you can't, like, I guess you kind of can't really determine that. You try to do the best you can. But, like, if we could just get a healthy season from offensive line, I'm with you, bro. I guarantee this team's going to make a deep run in the playoffs. And if they get to the AFC Championship game, I don't care if it's the freaking, the Chiefs or the Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan running point, they're going to win. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man, let's look at these rookies, man. I thought it was an incredible night for the rookies. Of course, every preseason game, you're looking at the veterans, right? But really, you're just watching the rookies. That's what everybody wants to see. What'd you see tonight, man, from the rookies?
Well, I feel like we saw definitely a coming out party for Charlie. He was accentuated a little bit more in this offense. He kind of gave us a little bit of a flavor of what he can do in open space. I'm looking forward to seeing that more as we move into preseason week 3, because I do think we'll get to see him start next week with Yoshi. Same thing with Yoshi. I feel like those two guys offset each other so well. You know, one's over the top, one's over the middle of the field, and they both like complement each other so well. On two separate drives, I think it was Yoshi, Charlie, and then we're, at the 20-yard line about to score. So, I mean, I think those two are going to be a tandem in Cincinnati for a long time. It's just about when they're going to get to play, and who comes out as that wide receiver 4 or 5 option that could step on the field this year. The other thing that I think that I saw that I loved is Brad Robbins, 2 punts, 152-yarder, 148-yarder, average punt 49.5. I love that. Chrisman only had 1 punt. It was 40 yards. It was down at the 8-yard line. But Brad Robbins, obviously the hang time continues to show itself. Obviously him being able to pin defenses or, oppositions deep is important. And we saw that again tonight inside the 20 on his second punt of 52 yards. So love seeing that. And then, obviously Jordan Battle, DJ Turner, we saw Jordan Battle gets flagged for the taunting penalty. I didn't understand that one. Other than that, I don't know too much of what he did on the defensive side. If you can clue me in, I know that Turner ended up having 4 tackles. Those were all contested passes. One of them was the Drake London catch over the top, which was a spectacular catch. Great coverage, in my opinion, on that play by Turner. I still think he got his head around. I still think he did all the right things. It was just a great catch. So, I mean, to me tonight, I was impressed. I was really happy with the rookies. And then obviously let me mention Chase Brown. He had the 10-yard run, but other than that, kind of failed elsewhere. Ended up getting the touchdown at the end to help out his regiment, but overall, disappointing so far in the preseason for Chase Brown.
I like what JD said about Chase Brown, though. He says, hey, he's been running hard, just didn't have much room tonight. He did run hard, man, especially on that TD run. You saw him really give that burst there to get the TD. And don't get it twisted. They waited, for the second time for him to get pushed in the end zone. But he scored on that first initial run. He broke the plane. And, yeah, like I was saying, I mean, every time you come into preseason, the rookies are like, that's what everybody's craving, right? Like, honestly, Game On, coming into this preseason, the one thing that I was really hoping to see, because I'd heard about Myles Murphy. I saw that he had the same comparison as a Trayvon Walker type prospect. He ran the 4.5 at his incredible size. And the one thing I was hoping to see was just an absolute dominant performance from a pass rusher, man. I'm just like, I'm just like craving for the Bengals to get a guy like a Micah Parsons. Like, that's like the one thing I just lay at night and I think about and dream about. You see the meme where the girl's like looking at the dude, like, what are you thinking about? I'm thinking about Myles Murphy turning into, Micah Parsons. You know what I mean? So I think I think Myles Murphy, he was sick tonight, didn't get a chance to see him. That's not really a knock on, who he is. We'll have to wait till next week to really talk about him. But when you talk about Jordan Battle, first and foremost, let's give a shout out to the NFL, right? The No Fun League is back, right? Run into a guy full speed, knock him on his butt, but don't you wave that finger at full speed. Don't you do that. You know what I mean? Because that, my friend, is taunting. And yes, he's got a lot to learn. He's still a rookie. That was really a boneheaded mistake. But in my opinion, I think, hey, those things like that, I don't know, man. It just always kind of grinds my gears especially when you're talking about, and then this is preseason, right? But let's say that was the end of the game on the line. A guy shakes his finger like this, and you're telling me you're going to throw a 15-yard penalty to give that other team the win because of a finger wave? That just doesn't sit right with me, man. But that's a whole nother story, right? That's another rant. I thought Jordan Battle, man, he had a decent night. He got beat a lot of times on some, pass coverage. I wasn't quite sure about where he was at and some of on the play where Allen George is underneath. I'm not sure if it was cover one man or some type of bracket coverage where Jordan was supposed to be over top, or if Jordan was the free man and he was just playing basically roaming. Right. So I have to kind of go back and watch the all 22 on that just to kind of see what we're looking at there. But truly, it wasn't anything to write home about from Jordan. There is something to write about another safety that I didn't talk about, honestly, sadly enough, and I won't talk about it right now. But Jordan Battle, we talked about him. Andre Yoshivas, I think Yoshi is a dude, okay? I know he didn't make the catch on the underthrown pass, but the most impressive thing to me from Yoshi was on that slant in traffic, right? Draped by the defender.
Yeah.
He catches. Like, that's a tough catch in traffic, man. Not to mention, dude, this guy's first year in the league from Princeton to the pros. He's probably thinking about a linebacker or a strong safety coming down to absolutely nail him. And then you got Charlie Jones doing what he's always done since college and just absolutely winning. The Bengals could potentially, and maybe this is being a little homerish, some people might say, they might have drafted the best duo receiver in this draft class, right? Like, out of teams who drafted two receivers this previous draft, the Bengals might have drafted the best duo. That's not saying that they're that's not saying like they drafted a Calvin Johnson. I'm just saying that those two guys will contribute for the Bengals this year and then forward from the remainder of their career, because I think they'll be really good. Charlie Jones was great in college. He'll do special teams. And I think Andre absolutely was a steal. In the 6th round, to get a guy who was a dude at Princeton to come in and, make a contribution and look like a guy in preseason, he looks good to me. He looks like he belongs. So that's awesome. As far as the other rookies, Brad Robbins, we know the punting game. Punters are people too. I thought Brad Robbins, to me, I think he's been pretty good from my knowledge on punting. And then I think really the other big thing, DJ Turner. One thing about DJ, man, is he got beat by Drake London on the incredible catch. There's one thing about I do like DJ Turner. He's I think he's going to be great. And DJ Turner, I don't know if people know this or not. And again, maybe I'm being homerish, and I'll say it again. Probably my last time saying this on the show, folks. So this is my last day saying this, but I'll say it again. Maybe this is homerish, but DJ Turner potentially could be an all-pro corner for I'd say 2 to 3 years straight, because every single time you see DJ Turner, he's right there by the ball. He's right there. He needs to figure out a way to be able to make a play on the ball consistency. And once he does, DJ Turner might be one of the best corners that we've seen wear the orange and black stripes in a long time. We've had some good corners, okay? But DJ Turner has a chance to be special. Now, if he takes that ability that he has, and I don't want to ramble too long, I'm going long already, but if he takes that ability that he has to stay right there in coverage and then make some PBUs, man, we don't need interceptions all the time. Just get the PBU. You know what I mean? Find a way to win. And that's what we need from DJ, but he's so close to unlocking that potential, and I think he'll find it. Sorry, man. I was long-winded.
No, you're good. The other one that we didn't mention was DJ Ivy. Fourth quarter, game on the line, big pass over the top, nine route, and Ivy, the recovery speed. First of all, he was losing to start the route, right? He recovers nicely. Yeah. He jumps right in front of the guy and is able to make the PBU. We talked about it before. DBs because in the second quarter, he was having a little bit of a bad night where there were multiple times where he got beat.
Yeah.
But DBs have to forget about that and move on to the next play. DJ Ivey, game on the line, making that PBU. If you're a fan watching that speaks volumes to this draft class. I mean, he's a 7th round pick doing that on the football field. You can't ask for more, honestly. You really can't.
I'll tell you what, man. I'd rather have DJ Ivey losing a rep than Sidney Jones. And maybe who even cares? You know what I mean? But I'd rather take a chance on seeing DJ Ivey thrive than watching Sidney Jones lose a rep. If DJ loses, I'm like, every single person in the world, right? And any football coach, anywhere you go, any organization, if you're coaching defensive backs, the number one thing they're going to tell you is say, hey, you need to have short-term memory because you're going to get beat. And DJ was getting cooked, game. He was getting cooked, man. Honestly. He was getting cooked, but he had an opportunity. The play came back to him, and he made the play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he did. And I just think, once again, it's a testament to how deep this roster is. We talked about the Super Bowl and how this team is primed and ready, but we got a lot of young guys that I think people in the chat and certainly on Twitter and outside of that sphere are really, really excited about. Every single one of these guys adds an element to our team that we didn't have before. When you look at DJ Turner, he has the speed that he can play in the middle of the field and help out Mike Hilton if they're in a pinch and they need somebody in the slot, if it's not Dax playing there. When you look at Brad Robbins and the hang time that he possesses, when you look at Andre Yosevach, we didn't have that in Stanley Morgan and Mike Thomas on the back end of this roster last year. We didn't have, wide receiver 5 and 6 being able to do that. Are you kidding me? If 2 receivers go down, we were screwed. If Mike Thomas came on the field and Stanley Morgan came on the field, we were done. Okay? But now that we have Yoshi and we have Charlie in there, Chuck Sizzle, I don't feel so bad if somebody goes down for a series or two and we have to bring somebody in. So it just speaks volumes to how deep this roster is. We're talking about safety. We're talking about keeping 5 safeties now because Michael Thomas is on the outside looking in because Tyson Anderson played so well last week. Jordan Battle has played well enough this first and second week thus far. So we think for sure we're going to have 4. Maybe we have 5. And we're talking about, eliminations at other positions. So again, this roster is super deep. They're primed for a Super Bowl run. And I think that when the Bengals lost that game against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game last year, they thought about what they didn't have. And they've certainly added it thus far.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. I know we're kind of wrapping up the show. We really do appreciate everybody tuning in and all the amazing, first of all, Bengals community is one of the best communities on Twitter and in the real world, awesome community from the UK to Ohio to really across the entire United States. Just an awesome, awesome community and an awesome fan base. So shout out to Bengals Nation. But the one thing I wanted to say, man, because I think you hit on like everything game on. But there was a guy. First of all, I thought Tyson was a little quiet tonight. You know what I mean? I thought he was a little quiet. We didn't really see much from him. I saw a couple things I didn't quite like from Tyson, but I want to kind of watch it back and make sure I'm not jumping to conclusions, but we'll see. But the one guy who I thought truly, to me, every single week since last season in preseason, that to me I've said, this guy's going to be a star, is Dax Hill, man. Okay, Dax Hill is not afraid to make tackles. He's like there in coverage. Dude, I'm telling you, man, I love Jesse Bates, right? In the season, I'm like, oh my gosh, we can't lose Jesse. And now I'm like, Jesse, who? Dax Hill's going to be a star, man. I'm telling you, he's going to be a star. Dax Hill's going to be a star, man. I'm telling you, mark my words, man. This kid is special, and he is going to be an incredible safety for the Bengals. And the Bengals really got one with this guy, man.
100%.
I'm sorry, I had to throw that in there.
No. 100%. Absolutely. Dax Hill has the versatility to play slot corner. He can play deep. He can play in the box. He can pretty much play anywhere on the field. You can use him in a pinch if you have to elsewhere. That's awesome. And then you talk about the athleticism, the speed, everything that he possesses that Jesse Bates maybe didn't have. Jesse Bates was a ball hawk, but other than that, he struggled he struggled at attacking the run game and being able to make tackles in space. Dax Hill is super good at that, even right away. This guy has so much potential. So I completely agree with you. Again, another guy that we must accentuate for this fan base. But again, want to say shout out to the chat tonight. You guys have been fantastic. Shout out to all of you in Bengals Nation for listening in. We appreciate you so much. Thank you for tuning in to Chatterbox Bengals for our first show. Please keep us in mind for next week as we continue to grow. And Who Day, baby.
Keep us in mind. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and turn the notifications on Chatterbox Bengals, because we will be back next week talking about the Bengals, and we will be here for the season every single post game, reacting, talking to you about the game, and getting your thoughts and also sharing ours as well, man. So awesome night, and we appreciate all of you.
Who Day, baby. Let's go Super Bowl.
All day, every day, baby. Who Day.